Identifying.
The king of cakes. Chopper for the win.
G'day guys, welcome back to Cakes by Chopper. Today we have Chespin from the new Pokemon X and Y game. What you're going to do is head over to Cakes by Chopper's Facebook page, download and print off this template, then you're going to cut it out, place it on top of your cake. Now this cake is the same size as an A4 sheet of paper, so when you print the template it'll be the perfect size. You're going to cut out two of these mushroom type shapes, which is his head and his body, and I've recreated this template to feature all the things you need inside that shape. Now I cut the body part in two and then started tapering off the head. You're going to use half of that body to taper around and give him a little tummy. As you can see, I've rounded his head off at the top and the bottom. Now taper off the tummy like I was saying, and then you can fill with buttercream. I used a vanilla buttercream and some strawberry jam because it tastes amazing. And this cake is actually a vanilla cake with some cinnamon added to it because it smells like donuts and tastes wicked. Okay, give that a crumb coat of buttercream. Make it all nice and round and pop it in the fridge to set because it's a lot easier for when you're rolling your fondant on top. Roll out your skin coloured fondant, place it over the bottom and only half of the head because you're going to cut off this round part because you don't want to have too much fondant on this cake. It already has a lot, so I tried to reduce it as much as I could. Trim off the excess, then roll out some green. Now as you can see, I've rolled this out quite long and then cut a dip out which will wrap around over the top of the flesh, which creates his little helmet. Make sure you adhere that on with some water, cut off the excess, smooth it out, and then trim off so you've got it nice and neat. And then I went around the bottom, cutting away the excess and tucking it underneath the cake. I went around the lip of his helmet to seal it off with some water and make sure it was stuck on. Okay, now you can cut out the rest of your shapes and some baking paper to place them on. Now I've labelled each part of how many you need. So you're going to cut out two of these lemon shapes, and then two smaller lemon shapes which are inside each other, and I've put ×2 on them so you'll know it's quite easy. Now using some skewers I placed them in the middle ready to be set and put in the fridge. Now you're going to do this to all the pieces that are green. I also included a little coloured version of him so you know which pieces are what. When placing in the skewers, be sure to add dip in a little bit of water before you do. This helps them stick. And placing them on the baking paper makes it easy to maneuver them in and out of the freezer. Now when I did these little ones, I did 3 because I always manage to mess up and poke the stick through one. I don't know why. It's always good to do a couple extra just in case. Rolling out some brown fondant, you cut out the 3 parts for his face. I guess this is the witch's peak and his 2 cheek areas. And then glue them on with a little bit of water. Just a light dab on the brush and then stick them into place. You can roll up that excess into a very short fat sausage, cut it in half, and that will create his arms. Apply them on with some water, and I stuck them to his bottom of his cheeks. That helps them stay on. A little bit of white fondant for his mouth, and then I used some grey fondant that I rolled into ovals and squashed out, and then painted black. And this helps give him those big cartoon eyes that make him look so adorable. Once they're done, pop them in the freezer. Now for his feet, I used some of the flesh fondant again, rolled that into a teardrop, and then rolled out some white fondant and placed it over the pointy ends, trimmed that off and run a line up the middle for his toes. These will be stuck on exactly the same as the hands. Once you've got them neat and trimmed up, apply a little bit of water to the back and stick them on the body. You may have to hold them there for a couple of minutes. I found it quite easy to just stick them on and they're rested. Cutting out a little pink triangle for his nose, then you can take his eyes out of the freezer, pop them on, and then you're ready to draw on the details. This is a mixture of black liquid food dye and gel dye. I found it was the nicest consistency to have a little bit of both and just mix them up as I went around. Trace off all his features, going around all the triangles on his face, around the rim of his helmet, around his mouth, and I did his feet and his toes. And then I decided to line the green leafy parts that stick out of his helmet. I gave them a little coat with the black on the edges, and then I popped them back in the freezer for another 10-15 minutes and then blocked them out, ready to stick them on. Give him a once over and make sure you haven't missed anything. Then you can take your pieces out and start pushing them into the fondant. And I've put little red lines on the template of where these go so you can't forget. And there you have your Chespin cake. I think you guys will agree he's adorable. Very easy to make. It is quite simple. It just takes a little bit of time. Now, if you're a big fan of Pokemon, why not check out my Jigglypuff or Pikachu cake, or better yet, pop over to the Tastemade playlist and check out some other awesome creations from my fellow Tastemadians. There's everything from pancakes to cookies to macarons and cake pops. It is just brilliant. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.